I had been missing in action for a little while, but I'm back. I talked a little bit yesterday. I posted on LinkedIn that been going through some stuff. COVID really knocked me on my butt, and I just can't even believe how lucky I was to avoid it for so long. And then it comes, and it just beats me up. But getting there, still a little froggy sounding, so enjoy that. Um, I took my kids today to get the COVID boosters actually, so I get a cool Hello Kitty sticker out of that. It's very exciting. I'm getting a big thumbs up from my middle child. um, but I wanted to come online today and talk a little bit about reflecting now that I've been a few weeks on the Leadership Boost, the workshops that I hosted at the end of May, beginning of June, and how that experience was. So I wrapped it up about a month ago. Have a few lessons that I learned from it and some fun news I'll share at the end. But let me tell you a little bit about what we talked about in the Leadership Boost. So we really focused on the model I use in my coaching, which is, you know, helping people be able to lead with confidence, build a cohesive and highly productive team in order to inspire action and results. So 3 phases of that program of how I coach one-on-one. And Leadership Boost was intended to be just a little hit of that, right? So we kind of did 3 areas within that. So within Lead with Confidence and Ease, we focused on better knowing and understanding yourself and your style, as well as creating your own personal vision for what you wanted to be as a leader. Those fall under Lead with Confidence and Ease. And then the third piece that we focused on, the third day of the workshop, was all about building your team, which very much goes into building a cohesive and highly productive team. It was very much a foundational discussion on how to create a team that works really well together, that trusts each other, and builds up from there. So those are the areas that we kind of zoomed in on for the Leadership Boost. When I coach or when I work through the Inspirational Leader Accelerator, we have the full model in front of us, and we kind of focus the boost on the beginning part just to give you that little edge in your leadership capabilities. So it was really, really fun. We did one 3-day session over lunch for 3 days, and another that was kind of the tail end of the day for those of us in Central and Eastern. Um, for one person in California, it was more midday still, but we kind of did little hits in those time frames to try and make it easier for people to join. And I did learn a few things about from the feedback I got in the moment and some of the discussions we had and some of the discussions I've had with people who were in it afterwards that I wanted to share that I thought was really interesting ideas that I focused on and I do focus on in my coaching, but seemed different and were really unique to some people that I was surprised by. So, number one that I learned was we're not often taught to look inward for our leadership style. We're too often told to go read a specific book or follow someone else's model, or these are the things that you need to do to be a leader. This is the right way to be a leader. Here are the 7 ways to be, like the 7 things you got to do to be a leader kind of stuff. And none of that is appropriate for you. My belief and the way I work is that you need to know and understand yourself and use that to translate into a leadership style that you find comfortable and that you find most effective based on yourself. So I was interesting as I got feedback that like, wow, I've never really thought about like going through this type of assessment and using that in how I lead, how I participate on teams, how I work in this environment. So that was actually a really exciting piece that I found. 'Cause I think it's total BS when someone tells you to, here's what you need to do to be a leader, because leadership is very much built from who you are. It's the core values and foundations within yourself that leadership grows from. So I think it's really interesting that that's not often how we're taught, but it's something I think is really important to talk about. So that was exciting. The second area, sorry, wheezy. The second area that I learned in the Leadership Boost with my workshops was that there's so many different types of leadership that we talk about or that you can read about. But we don't often draw a clear line from here's a leadership type, and this one's suitable for me. How do I know which one I should be using in what situation, or for myself, or every day? Or we've talked a lot about what the leadership styles are, but not necessarily how to apply them and what the situational, you know, applicability is. So that was something we spent a lot of time on in the second day of the workshop. Was here are the different types of leadership styles. Here are kind of how they best align with something like a DISC assessment, which we do in my coaching programs and workshops. And then what are the situations you also use them in? Sometimes when you're in crisis mode, a specific leadership style is really appropriate then, and your natural style may not work as well. If you are naturally a hands-off person, there's a kind of a category of leadership styles that work really well for you. But when something changes or there is disruption, you're going to have to kind of push that natural tendency aside and flex into something that allows you to be more hands-on. So we spent a lot of time talking about that flexibility and flexing in there. And someone even said that they were going to take away flex as one of their little learnings was that, flexing to different styles, flexing into some other situation, because leadership is so situational. It's not just something you do and they're always the same. So that was another fun thing that I got out of working and talking to the participants in the workshop. And then the last thing is engagement is so key in any kind of workshop. Having everyone, we were online on Zoom, and that can be tricky sometimes when you're not just all in one place. But I think the talking and sharing that we did as a group, everybody had a story to tell that was related to the topic that we were discussing. And drawing that out of people was really interesting. That I took away a lot from it. I learned a lot from people. And I think they also took a lot away from each other. Even those people who actually worked in the same organization in some cases learned a little bit more about each other, learned a little bit more about how other people's experiences have translated into something, into like how they perceive leadership or how they want to be a leader. So I think those group discussions are so important, and finding ways to be able to do that is really key. So those are really kind of reflecting today on the boost, the things that I took away that I really had a lot of fun learning from the participants and sharing with the participants. I am excited that I am going to take the workshop and transform it into an online course. So it'll be on demand for anyone who wants to take it at their own leisure, their own pace. And I will be offering again, and to make sure we have that group dynamic as a workshop. And I'll be doing that later this year, probably. But in the coming weeks, I'm hoping to get that online and find a good way to be able to still manage the group dynamic, the discussions that we had, and hopefully be able to do that inside of a group on Facebook. So hoping we can still have some of that, one-on-one time, a little bit of that group dynamic, so that everyone who takes it online can still get that same discussion out of it. So I'm excited to be kind of transforming that into an on-demand class that would be easily accessible for people who don't have time for a scheduled time. And that'll be very fun. So from here on out, I'm refocusing on the Inspirational Leader Accelerator and getting new people in to work with me on that in the 12-week program. Really excited about really working with people on leading with confidence, building that highly productive team to get to inspiring results. I think that's really the key here, is when you put all those pieces in place ahead of it, you're not just asking people to do something, you're inspiring them to action. And I will be talking more about that and how I'm going to revamp it a little bit in the upcoming future. But if you want to know more about transforming into an inspirational leader and how I can help you get there, give me a call anytime. We can schedule some time together. Just have to pop into my calendar, schedule a 30 minutes with me, and we can talk all about how I can help you. I'm going to wrap it up with that for today. Thanks all for being here.